The T app was a woman-only app. It appears to be marketing to Black people. Is this the modern day Blaxploitation?
This white man created this app. He's charging you $15 a month to be messy and gossip.
Shame on him for not being able to protect these women's identities, but not shame on him for coming up with something that apparently caught wildfire enough for us to be talking about it.
He managed to find a way to profit off the gender war, and I can't fault him for that.
But we're literally exposing past relationships. And of course, these men are upset that you put their picture and their whole bio and your opinion there, and they can't even defend themselves.
Last week, I talked briefly or mentioned the T app and what it was. And so just as a recap, for those who don't know, and I'm pretty sure a lot of folks do know now, the T app was a woman-only app and it's gone viral. It's top in the U.S. App Store. And so basically, users can post anonymous reviews about allegations pertaining to men. And you know what those allegations may be. But anyways, with that being said, they actually have access to AI-powered background checks for a subscription fee and everything for the low of $15 a month. So for $15 a month, I can spread my tea and get a background check on you. So with that being said, there has been some concerns, though. And you know what those concerns are? It appears to be marketing to Black people. And while they do have some pictures of other races, the majority of the picture seems to market to Black people. And so my question to you, is this the modern day Blaxploitation? And are we once again dragging ourselves down into the mud for the white man's profit?
Go ahead, Tia. I mean, because this app was made for you. This app was made for your kind, right? Black women.
Kind.
Yes, Black women who might have some type of criticism, or I'm just saying, like S&M made it out.
I would never place a partner or a former partner on an app like this, sir. I don't get in the mud with pigs. I don't do that. And here's the reason why. Because it's messy, it's tacky, it's kind of petty, and it's bitter. When you have developers that are of a different race and possibly socioeconomic status, and then they create things that are targeted towards certain types of people to exploit them stereotypically, and we fall into that. I think that, Black people, we have a tendency just to be sheep sometimes. And this app is kind of, a part of that. I think a long time ago on Facebook, there was this thing like the little games or questions that they ask were like, were done to see how many people would actually start the new trend or pick up the new trend or whatever it was. And we commonly fall for the okie doke. And I think this is one of those things. Like this white man created this app. He's charging you $15 a month to be messy and gossip. And it's going to lead to people. It already has here in the Bay Area. Somebody was killed over it. Like literally the first week it came out, a man murdered his girlfriend or unalived her and then unalived himself as well. Like this is dangerous to play with. And I think we take it so lightheartedly because we think that people will just let it go. But we're literally exposing past relationships, whether the sex was good, what kind of man they are. And of course, these men are upset that you put their picture and their whole bio and your opinion there, and they can't even defend themselves. So if, maybe in my 20s, I would have found it entertaining. But at this point, it's just like, I see it causing way too many issues more than just being an app for entertainment purposes, because there's groups on Facebook that already do this for free, ladies. I don't know why you'd be paying, but the Is This Your Man group exists everywhere and they be posting.
I'm glad Tia brought that up because I was going to mention are we dating the same guy Facebook groups? There's one in like every state. My wife put me on to it. I don't know why she was on there. Like she like messy sometimes. Anyway, long story short. But anyway, so on the sites, and I'm assuming on the app too, people post, "Oh, I'm dating this guy. What do you guys think?" And then other people anonymously say, "Oh, I dated him, girl. He's cheap," or "He comes quick," or he ghosted me after the first date, or "He married with another family 2 streets over," and you get all these narratives that nobody can really confirm or deny. They could have just been based off somebody carefully like cyber stalking a person and looking at their pictures going, "Girl, don't he drive a red car? Yeah, that's him, girl. He been talking to me for 3 days. He in my inbox right now." You're getting all of this yapping, and you can't confirm any of it. And relationships are being destroyed. And then what really got me was this. First, I don't think that is an effective way to vet a person. I think if you don't have good character judgment, good discernment, that's where you should be working. You should not be getting other people you don't know to vet people that you just met. It's weird. Okay. Secondly, why they get mad when they get hacked and all the information get out? I'm sorry. It was cool, people, when y'all were talking about people and they couldn't, and you were doxing them and you were putting them all out there and they could not defend themselves. They couldn't speak for themselves. They didn't even know they were a topic of conversation. Now, you people who actually went to the app and you subscribe to be a part of this foolishness to keep this culture of back talking and backbiting and pettiness going on, y'all mad because y'all got exposed? Isn't that karma? Y'all should know. I mean, karma's a bitch. I would think y'all to be well acquainted.
Were you just calling women the B word? Wow.
Oh, I was calling the catty women who be saying stuff that's not even true and hating on guys. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Crazy.
1,000%. 1,000%. I feel you on that, except for the women who are telling the truth, right? Because those women would not be that, because you're saying
That's
they're
true.
lying, right? Okay, got you. Hey, listen, I'm just trying to give you an out, my brother. I got your back. First of all, I want to push back on hate for the founder. And maybe because I'm a founder myself, and I get that because he might be a different ethnicity or whatever he is or she is, whoever they are, I get that we may look at it as exploitation. But the thing is, exploitation in and of itself is not a bad word. I know that we may think it is. No, dead ass. Like, so for example, when you're in commerce, there's a lot of exploitation, right? There's a lot of, when you do something for the sake of commerce in a way, like it's exploiting it. Right. So I know that the word itself has a negative connotation. So when I'm saying, for me, when I hear that word, I don't automatically assume the negative connotation in that. And the reason why is because as business people, entrepreneurs, founders, our job is either to solve problems or to create things that people want and or need. Right? Sometimes it's not a thing that you need. We don't need social media necessarily. We want it enough to spend so much time on it. So somebody invents an app, most of which we're on, like social media, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. Yes, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok are exploiting us when they use our data and allow ad agencies to promote to us. So I get that this is different. Why? Because it targets Black women who, let's be honest, are easy to target. Right? The Democratic Party knows how to do so. Right? And so a guy who says, you know what, I'm going to create an app because I hear all this gender war conversations and I know that Black women are not going to be accountable for shit. So why don't I create an app that will allow them to point the finger as much as they want to, right? And Tia said, why would they pay $15? Well, for that reason, right? Like, I get to point the finger at all the guys who did me wrong and all the ways that he is just subpar and not once have to pay, because you had to pay a therapist for that, right? For that accountability. So I can't be mad that a founder found a product and a market fit. That's what it's called, a product market fit. You know what I'm saying? Like, shame on him for not being able to protect these women's identities, because I think any app founder has to, especially in 2025, be mindful of those types of security breaches. So shame on him for that, but not shame on him for coming up with something that apparently caught wildfire enough for us to be talking about it. His marketing plan was fire. His target. And let me talk about that a little bit too, right? Because I'm a tech founder and I have a product. And yes, I identified a market. Just because you're identified as a market is not a bad thing. Sometimes people recognize this group has a need or a want and I can solve it. You know what I'm saying? I think the wrong thing is, how transparent or easy is it for people to hack us or hack our culture or hack what we're into, right? Well, it's really easy because we've been selling the culture and us a very long time before social media, right? Like hip hop, for example, has long since been corrupted. It's not ours. We participated. We think that we control it on some level, but the truth is we've long since sold that off. So yeah, sorry to break it to y'all. All this shit is exploitive, is what I'm saying. So I'm not gonna get mad at him, right? And I'm with Jay. Like, if I know that you get off on pointing the finger, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to do so and make money off your dumb ass. You know what's funny? You can be spending that money on a therapist. It's like $40 with, a copay, but whatever. You'd rather just be on a white man's app. I think literally in this case, to just talk your talk. And I'm not mad at you for that. I just don't want us blaming the problem solvers. We need business people to come up with solutions and things that we want, because what else would we do with our time? What, be productive? Self-improvement? The nerve of us to expect to do that with our time. And oh, by the way, there are other apps that you can do that. But if you're on this app, chances are you're probably not on those apps. And I think it says a lot more about the people who are on these apps than it does the founder or his investors, for that matter, because shit, where can I get in at? You know what I'm saying? Because we all know people have long since been profiting off the backs of Black women, even the ones they let profit off of them. because they think it works to their benefit. But I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and have it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, holler at me. Let's get the security breaches together. But go ahead, SNL.
Okay, so I was rocking with most of it, but then as usual, we can't rock anymore. You just swerve. And I'm just like, how far will he go before he swerves off this cliff? And, and at this point, I don't even know. I'm just like, I think you just keep a parachute nearby at this point. And so, because for me, I was looking at this, and initially my issue was that it did target Black men in particular, and which meant the target audience was Black women. Because I looked through the pictures for the marketing and so forth, and I understand they did identify that audience. The selling point was that it was for women, meaning all women. But in the end, all the pictures were Black men. And to be honest, I was offended by the fact that this was what they decided to go with, because basically it fed into every single narrative. But you're right, it fed into the gender war. He managed to find a way to profit off the gender war, and I can't fault him for that. But I kind of fault us for it, because at some point we have to recognize that we can't keep uplifting other companies off our backs. So, for example, it actually reminded me of when Tubi first came out, right? Or not even Tubi, but UPN a long time ago. You guys remember UPN and how UPN had all these Black shows, and then the minute that they got this huge audience, guess what? The Black shows started slowly disappearing until they weren't there anymore. And then they merged with Fox, I believe it was. And so it's like, once again, we're seeing the exact same pattern repeat itself, but we never have the opportunity, as if we're too slow to say, oh, this pattern looks familiar. Because you know why? Because we have a tendency to be self-serving. And in this case, the self-serving was, hey, I want to shit on somebody else. And to me, this was a major setback for women in general, not just Black women, but women in general. Because if you're truly empowered, and we walk around saying that we're so empowered and we're this and we're that, then empowered women don't need to weaponize technology, right? If anything, all we do is set our standards, set our boundaries, and then we just exit. We don't have to go through all the shenanigans, because it does give, what Tia said, a little bit of bitterness out there, if not a whole lot of bitterness. Because at the end of the day, you still chose this dude. And once you decide to exit quietly, exit gracefully, and leave it to the next person. Because just because he have been trash to you doesn't mean he's going to be trash to the next person. So why are you setting this person up for failure because y'all two didn't connect? And I think that's a major disservice to the Black women and Black men, but in general. But I get it, because guess what? Salacious scandals sell. And that's what this is. This is just more scandals, but scandal at your fingertips. And I can participate. Oh, snap. It's like when Starbucks came out and everybody went and got the Starbucks app and was like, ooh, I can get stars. Ooh, I can get points for this. Oh, and except there's no $15 subscription charge, because I don't know why you would pay for that. But I guess because it includes the background check. But why you need this background check? I'm confused about that as well. But regardless, I understand the so-called intent, though. The so-called intent was about protecting women. And under the guise of protecting women, it became, hey, this is for your safety. We're putting you on to these bad actors and bad characters. And then it morphed into this bullshit that it is now, which is just basically a blame game rag, right? A blame game app. He did this, or blah, 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 blah. And guess what happened? The men responded on Reddit. And they have their own. Oh, so-and-so put this on the app. Guess what? Let me go ahead and air her laundry too. And so now we're even further into the mire, into the mud, into this gender war. So it didn't accomplish anything but get some folks richer. And I support getting richer, because one day, I assume all of us want to get rich. And as some people on this panel, we're all business owners and whatnot. And so we're trying to get to where we need to go. And he found this niche and he went into it and moved accordingly. I would just say this, though, to the women who are continuing to use this app, despite the numerous security breaches that have occurred. It was hacked within the first week. That means there was no protocols. He did not have a zero trust foundation, or his network's not built in with any type of security in any shape, way, or form. But regardless of all that, would you want your brother on this app? Would you want your son on this app? How would you feel if it's your relative that somebody put on blast on this app? And then in return, how would you feel knowing that your daughter may be on this app? Matter of fact, some of these mamas out here scandalous as hell. Your grandmama may be on the app on Reddit because she done been fucking her daughter's man, got pregnant. But anyways, all this to say, be careful what you put out there, because reaping what you sow is a real thing. And if you don't want to sow something negatively, then don't put all that negativity and toxicity into the world. And that's what I'm going to land with.
I really felt like people who were drawn to this were people who were attracted to dragging black men. They saw an opportunity to drag black men. They were like, "Ooh, girl, I have some of that. I'll pay $15 for it," which is really interesting, right? It's rough for black men out here. You know what I mean? We can't get no love on the internet. We can't get no love in the Ozark Mountains. And that's something I want to talk to y'all about, as a matter of fact.
It was interesting to me because guys went to Reddit to do their thing, right? Which made me question why someone wouldn't come up with their own version of an app where men can kind of talk about their experiences. And then it hit me like, maybe men wouldn't pay for that. Right. Which then again is interesting if you talk about the difference between men and women. Right. Like a guy could not come up with an idea that would sell us on doing it because for some reason, number one, it wouldn't make sense for us to do that. He was like, why am I going to pay $15? Like, just because I air out Stephanie doesn't mean the other people on this app even know who Stephanie is. You know why? Because most of us know that sometimes the Stephanies of the world can go into the whole protection program, right? No matter how much we try to air her out, right? She gonna pop up somewhere with a new identity, using shea butter with natural hair. And it's like, who is this bitch? Like, where did she come from? You know? So at the end of the day, I just thought that was interesting in terms of why men may not. But in all seriousness, though, because S&M mentioned the whole thing about security and safety, you know, I do get that sometimes you can have an idea and people can just use it for whatever they want to use it for, right? Like Clubhouse, for example. I don't think Clubhouse was what it eventually became and part of the reason it died, right? It was an app that other founders and people were using it for different reasons. Celebrities were using it. And then eventually you let the others in. And then unfortunately, one bad apple turns into a million that ruins the entire bunch. You dig what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily blame the founder again. I do think that there is, because matter of fact, one of our previous hosts thought about creating something that was around creating safety for women. Right now, it may not have been like salacious in terms of telling your business, but clearly safety. If a guy is a creep, if a guy is doing certain things, I can see there's value in that. Right. In the same way, I mean, I think maybe more frivolously, guys talk so much about body counts and we joke about hoe faxes. Right. I mean, if there was a way to actually verify it, would there be value there? Right. So there's a developer out there at the sound of my voice. Call me. You know what I'm saying? Why should this guy be the only guy making money off of our dysfunction? You know what I'm saying? I'll let your boy. But go ahead.
I will agree that all business is exploitation, but I think it's at our detriment. And I wish that at some point we would just say, we ain't gonna fuck with that. And I think it also is clear that it's not geared towards men because this is not typical man shit. Right? This is not something that men do. And I think the emotional component of women leads us to do these emotionally charged things. And men don't necessarily have time, whether it be ADD, attention, focus. Y'all are not about to open the app and pay $15. Y'all not going to even care enough to background check the horrors that you're with. So my question is, how many background checks are you doing in a month that I have to pay the membership fee? Give me the free version where I can scroll and laugh. I don't need to pay because how many niggas do I got? I got 2 per month. I need to. That's like excessive to me. It's like let me add on to the stupidity of this and just make you more of a fool. Give me your money. But yeah, I all business is exploitation. I get that. But then when it's based around stereotypical tropes and we fall into them, I could be mad and not mad at the same time because all money ain't good money, but at least I'd respect it if it was circling through our neighborhood and not theirs.
I love that. Circling through our neighborhood and not theirs. One of the things I actually wanted to mention as well was the fact that when we talk about, to me, this seems like a digital witch hunt, by the way. And when we start doing digital witch hunts, and it leads to digital violence, which in turn leads to real life violence. And I think that's something that we have to consider because you guys remember all the cases with cyberbullying where folks were like killing themselves and killing other people because they were being bullied via cyber. And this is no different than cyberbullying to me, regardless if you're saying you're waking it up to whatever, letting people know the ins and outs of a particular person, right? And so I think that's something else that we need to be considerate of when we engage in these type of activities because we never know what the end result is going to be. And that end result may end up with somebody dead. And so we want to be careful of that. But I also want to say that, Tia, you gave the men a whole lot of credit about not putting an app out there because while they may not have put an app out there, they sure did run Reddit and did their own version, the free version of it. So I'm going to say you gave them a lot of credit, but they was emotional and they went and did the free version and went ahead and, and
because they
basically
cheap.
retaliated against the women. So
Maybe it's
let's
the
not
broke
say they're not
ones.
emotional. We had a whole episode talking about men can be emotional too. It's okay for them to be emotional.
I agree.